The art of strategic thinking. Outsmart any challenge and win big in life. Foundations of a strategic mind. Strategic thinking is not about being clever in the moment or reacting faster than everyone else. It is about seeing further, thinking deeper, and choosing with intention rather than impulse. Most people live their lives responding to circumstances, allowing emotions, habits, and external pressure to dictate their decisions. Strategic thinkers live differently. They step back while others rush forward. They observe while others react. They plan while others hope. At its core, strategic thinking begins with awareness. Awareness of self, awareness of environment, and awareness of how actions today shape outcomes tomorrow. Without this awareness, intelligence becomes wasted potential. Many highly intelligent people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack direction. Strategy gives direction to intelligence. It turns raw talent into calculated movement. The world rewards those who understand patterns. Everything that happens follows a pattern, whether in business, relationships, conflict, or personal growth. Strategic thinkers train themselves to recognize these patterns early. They do not wait for certainty, because certainty rarely arrives before opportunity passes. Instead, they learn to make decisions with incomplete information while minimizing unnecessary risk. One of the greatest illusions people live under is the belief that life is fair. Strategic thinkers abandon this belief early. They understand that outcomes are not distributed evenly, and effort alone does not guarantee success. What matters is where effort is applied, when it is applied, and why it is applied. This understanding frees them from resentment and replaces it with responsibility. Responsibility is power. The moment you accept full responsibility for your outcomes, you regain control. Strategic thinking demands this acceptance. Blaming circumstances, people, or luck may feel comforting, but it removes your ability to adapt. Strategy thrives on adaptability. When conditions change, the strategic thinker changes faster. Emotion is another major battlefield. Most poor decisions are emotional decisions disguised as logical ones. Anger pushes people into conflict they cannot win. Fear keeps them frozen while opportunity slips away. Pride blinds them to better options. Strategic thinkers do not eliminate emotion, but they delay action until emotion settles. They make decisions from clarity, not from heat. Time is the most underestimated strategic resource. People waste time because it feels renewable. Strategic thinkers treat time as finite and precious. They think in terms of long-term impact rather than short-term comfort. They are willing to endure temporary discomfort for permanent advantage. This mindset alone separates leaders from followers. Another essential element of strategy is positioning. You do not need to be the strongest or the smartest if you are positioned correctly. In life, the right place at the right moment often matters more than raw effort. Strategic thinkers focus heavily on positioning themselves where opportunities naturally appear rather than chasing them endlessly. Silence is also a strategic tool. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every plan needs to be revealed. Many people sabotage themselves by oversharing, seeking validation, or explaining their intentions prematurely. Strategic thinkers understand that information is currency. They protect it carefully. Observation is a skill that must be trained. Most people see only what confirms their existing beliefs. Strategic thinkers look for what others ignore. They pay attention to small signals, inconsistencies, and behavioral shifts. These details often reveal more than words ever could. A strategic life is built on deliberate choices rather than reactive ones. This does not mean life becomes rigid or joyless. In fact, strategy creates freedom. When you know where you are going, you stop being distracted by every noise along the way. You conserve energy, focus attention, and move with purpose. The journey towards strategic mastery begins internally. Before you can outthink others, you must understand yourself. Your strengths, weaknesses, fears, desires, and triggers all influence your decisions. Strategic thinkers conduct honest self-assessments, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Self-deception is the enemy of strategy. Discipline plays a critical role here. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline sustains progress. Strategic thinkers build systems rather than relying on willpower. They create routines that support their goals automatically, reducing the need for constant decision-making. Another key principle is leverage. Strategic thinkers look for actions that produce outsized results. Instead of doing more, they aim to do better. They ask themselves which effort will move the needle the furthest and focus there. This mindset prevents burnout and increases efficiency. Learning never stops for the strategic mind. Every success is analyzed. Every failure becomes data. Strategic thinkers are not embarrassed by mistakes. They are embarrassed by repeated mistakes. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Patience is often misunderstood as weakness, but in strategy it is strength. Knowing when not to act is just as important as knowing when to act. Many opportunities destroy those who take them too early. Strategic thinkers wait until conditions favor them, even if that means letting others move first. The foundation of strategic thinking is built on clarity, awareness, discipline, and patience. Without these elements, tactics collapse under pressure. With them, even simple actions can produce extraordinary results. Strategy is not reserved for generals or executives. It is a way of thinking available to anyone willing to slow down, think deeply, and act deliberately. This foundation sets the stage for everything that follows. As the layers of strategy deepen, the focus will shift from internal mastery to external influence, from personal clarity to navigating complex challenges, from survival to dominance. But all of that rests on this first truth: the greatest battles are won in the mind long before they appear in the world. Outsmart any challenge and win big in life. Perception, power, and control. Once the foundation of strategic thinking is formed, the next evolution begins with perception. Perception is not reality, but it shapes reality more than facts ever will. People do not respond to what is true, they respond to what they believe to be true. Strategic thinkers understand this deeply and use it to their advantage, while remaining aware of its dangers. Most individuals walk through life assuming they see things as they are. In truth, they see things as they are conditioned to see them. Past experiences, fears, desires, and social influence distort perception constantly. Strategic thinkers train themselves to question their own interpretations before accepting them as truth. This habit alone prevents countless miscalculations. Control begins internally. If you cannot control your reactions, someone else will. Emotional control is one of the most visible markers of strategic maturity. When pressure rises, most people reveal their weaknesses through panic, aggression, or withdrawal. Strategic thinkers remain steady. Their calm unsettles opponents and reassures allies. Power is often misunderstood as force or authority. In reality, power is influence over outcomes. Sometimes this influence is direct, sometimes subtle, and sometimes invisible. Strategic thinkers do not seek attention. They seek leverage. They are comfortable operating behind the scenes if it produces better results. One of the most effective strategic advantages is predictability management. People who are entirely predictable become easy to manipulate. People who are entirely unpredictable become impossible to trust. Strategic thinkers balance both. They establish a stable core while occasionally disrupting expectations. This keeps others cautious and attentive. Information asymmetry is another major source of power. When one party knows more than another, decisions tilt in their favor. Strategic thinkers invest heavily in observation, listening, and research. They ask more questions than they answer. They listen for what is not being said as much as for what is spoken. Silence, again, becomes valuable here. In conversations, the person who speaks less often learns more. Strategic thinkers allow pauses to stretch. People fill silence with truth they did not intend to reveal. This is not manipulation. It is patience. Control over time is also critical. Rushed decisions favor those who create the pressure. Strategic thinkers resist artificial urgency. They slow situations down when others try to speed them up, and they speed up when others hesitate. Mastery of timing often determines victory more than strength or intelligence. Another layer of perception involves understanding roles. Every environment has unspoken hierarchies. Someone leads, someone follows, someone influences quietly, and someone absorbs blame. Strategic thinkers identify these roles quickly. They know who truly holds power and who merely appears to hold it. Ego is one of the greatest threats to strategic clarity. Ego seeks validation, recognition, and dominance. Strategy seeks results. Many people sabotage long-term success for short-term ego satisfaction. Strategic thinkers learn to let others take credit if it advances their position. They know that winning quietly still counts. Conflict is unavoidable in life, but unnecessary conflict is optional. Strategic thinkers choose battles carefully. They ask whether a confrontation will improve their position or merely satisfy emotion. Walking away from a fight is not weakness when the cost outweighs the reward. When conflict is unavoidable, strategy becomes essential. Emotional arguments escalate chaos. Strategic responses apply pressure where it matters. This might mean shifting alliances, changing the environment, or reframing the narrative rather than confronting directly. Narratives shape reality. Whoever controls the story often controls the outcome. Strategic thinkers pay close attention to how events are framed. The same action can be seen as courageous or reckless depending on the narrative surrounding it. Understanding this allows strategic thinkers to position themselves favorably even in difficult circumstances. Another crucial skill is reading motivation. People rarely act without incentive. Strategic thinkers ask what others truly want, not what they claim to want. Once motivation is understood, behavior becomes predictable. This knowledge allows strategic thinkers to influence outcomes without force. Self-control remains central throughout this process. The more power you gain, the more tempting it becomes to misuse it. Strategic thinkers remain disciplined because they understand that reckless use of influence attracts resistance. Sustainable power is subtle, controlled, and adaptive. Adaptability itself is a form of control. Rigid plans break under pressure. Strategic thinkers plan with flexibility built in. They prepare for multiple outcomes and adjust quickly when reality shifts. This ability to pivot keeps them ahead while others scramble. Observation of failure is as important as observation of success. Strategic thinkers study why systems collapse, why relationships fail, and why leaders lose influence. They learn from others' mistakes without needing to repeat them personally. Patience once again reveals its value. Power accumulated slowly tends to last longer. Those who rush for dominance often expose themselves too early. Strategic thinkers allow others to underestimate them. Underestimation is an advantage. Another powerful concept is detachment. Detachment does not mean lack of care. It means the ability to step back emotionally and evaluate situations objectively. When you are too attached to a specific outcome, you become blind to better alternatives. Strategic thinkers care deeply, but remain flexible. Control over self-talk is another overlooked element. The way you narrate events internally shapes confidence and resilience. Strategic thinkers train their inner dialogue to be constructive rather than catastrophic. They interpret setbacks as feedback, not failure. Influence over others begins with reliability. Strategic thinkers do what they say they will do. Trust compounds over time and becomes leverage. When people trust you, resistance lowers and cooperation increases. At this stage of strategic development, the thinker begins to notice a shift. Life feels less chaotic. Challenges still arise, but they feel manageable. Decisions feel calmer, clearer, and more deliberate. This is not because problems have disappeared, but because perception has sharpened and control has increased. Strategy does not eliminate uncertainty, but it makes uncertainty navigable. It replaces fear with curiosity and reaction with response. As perception sharpens and power becomes refined, the strategic thinker moves from survival into influence. The next stage goes even further. It explores long-term dominance, resilience under pressure, and how to turn adversity into advantage. This is where strategy transforms from a tool into a way of life. Resilience, long games, and strategic dominance. True strategy reveals itself under pressure. Anyone can think clearly, when conditions are calm. Strategic thinkers distinguish themselves when uncertainty, loss, or opposition enters the picture. Resilience is not simply endurance. It is the ability to adapt, learn, and reposition without losing momentum or identity. Most people experience adversity as interruption. Strategic thinkers experience it as information. Every setback contains data about weaknesses, blind spots, and external forces. Those who extract meaning from difficulty grow stronger, while others grow bitter or exhausted. The long game is where strategy becomes life philosophy. Short-term thinking prioritizes comfort, validation, and immediate reward. Long-term thinking prioritizes positioning, sustainability, and compounding advantage. Strategic thinkers are willing to sacrifice now for alignment later. Consistency is a hidden weapon. Small, intelligent actions repeated over time outperform dramatic bursts of effort followed by collapse. Strategic thinkers understand that momentum is built quietly. They show up when others lose interest. This reliability builds an advantage that is difficult to disrupt. Resilience also requires identity stability. When people attach their self-worth to outcomes, failure becomes devastating. Strategic thinkers separate identity from results. A loss does not define them, it informs them. This emotional distance allows quicker recovery and clearer thinking. One of the most powerful strategic advantages is endurance in uncomfortable states. Boredom, uncertainty, delayed gratification, and social pressure cause many people to quit too early. Strategic thinkers develop tolerance for discomfort because they understand that growth often hides behind it. Strategic dominance does not mean crushing others. It means creating a position where success becomes more likely for you than for those around you. This often involves building skills, networks, and systems that continue producing value even when effort temporarily decreases. Environment design plays a critical role here. Strategic thinkers shape their surroundings to support desired behavior. They reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for destructive ones. Over time, the environment does the work. Anticipation separates reactive players from dominant ones. Strategic thinkers ask what happens next, and then what happens after that. They think several steps ahead, not to control every variable, but to avoid being surprised. Surprise favors chaos. Preparation favors strategy. Pressure reveals truth. Under stress, people revert to default patterns. Strategic thinkers observe how others behave under pressure. This reveals who can be trusted, who panics, who becomes aggressive, and who adapts. These insights inform future decisions. Strategic patience again proves decisive. Many opportunities self-destruct because people rush to claim them. Strategic thinkers allow situations to mature. They wait until leverage increases, information improves, or resistance weakens. Resilience also involves selective vulnerability. Strategic thinkers know when to show openness and when to remain guarded. Complete openness invites exploitation, but complete secrecy isolates. Balance creates strength. Loss, when handled correctly, becomes an accelerant. Strategic thinkers perform honest postmortems. They analyze what went wrong without emotional distortion. This process converts pain into precision. Long-term dominance requires energy management. Burnout destroys strategy. Strategic thinkers pace themselves. They understand cycles of effort and recovery. Rest is not weakness, it is maintenance. Another crucial concept is redundancy. Strategic thinkers avoid single points of failure. They build backup plans, diverse skills, and multiple income or influence streams when possible. This reduces vulnerability and increases confidence. Confidence itself becomes strategic when it is grounded rather than performative. Quiet confidence attracts opportunity and discourages challenge. Strategic thinkers do not need to announce their strength. It becomes visible through results. Social dynamics remain a major arena. Strategic thinkers understand alliances shift. They avoid overdependence on any single relationship. They invest in goodwill broadly while maintaining clear boundaries. Adversity also tests values. Strategic thinkers know what they will not compromise, even under pressure. This clarity prevents internal conflict and strengthens resolve. Compromised values create long-term weakness. Time again proves decisive. Many people abandon plans just before results compound. Strategic thinkers stay longer. They outlast trends, competition, and doubt. Longevity itself becomes a competitive advantage. Reflection remains continuous. Strategic thinkers schedule time to think, not just to act. This reflection keeps them aligned and adaptive. Without reflection, activity becomes noise. As dominance develops, humility becomes essential. Overconfidence blinds perception. Strategic thinkers assume they are missing something and remain curious. This mindset protects them from catastrophic error. Eventually, strategy becomes intuitive. Decisions feel natural rather than forced. Patterns are recognized instantly. This is not luck. It is accumulated experience processed deliberately. At this stage, challenges feel different. They no longer threaten identity. They present puzzles to be solved. This shift marks true strategic maturity. The final stage brings integration. Strategy is no longer something you apply. It becomes how you live, choose, and lead. That is where lasting impact is created. Living strategically and winning the inner game. At the highest level, strategic thinking is no longer something you switch on during difficult moments. It becomes the lens through which you experience life. Decisions feel calmer. Reactions soften. Purpose sharpens. You are no longer pushed around by circumstances because you understand how to navigate them. A strategic life is intentional. You choose how you spend your energy, who you allow influence over you, and which paths deserve commitment. Most people drift, reacting to what appears loudest or most urgent. Strategic thinkers filter noise from signal. They understand that urgency is often manufactured, while importance is often quiet. Winning in life begins with winning the inner game. External success without internal alignment produces emptiness. Strategic thinkers invest in clarity of values because values anchor decisions when options conflict. When values are clear, choices simplify. Identity becomes stable. You are no longer defined by comparison or approval. Strategic thinkers measure progress against personal standards rather than external applause. This independence creates resilience and peace. A strategic mind embraces simplicity. Complexity is often a sign of confusion. Strategic thinkers refine rather than accumulate. They eliminate unnecessary commitments, distractions, and relationships that drain focus. This creates space for depth. Presence becomes a strength. Instead of rushing mentally into the future or replaying the past, strategic thinkers remain grounded in the present moment while holding long-term vision. This balance improves decision quality and emotional regulation. Fear loses its grip. It may still appear, but it no longer dictates behavior. Strategic thinkers view fear as a signal rather than a command. They investigate it, learn from it, and act intentionally despite it when necessary. Confidence deepens, not as arrogance, but as self-trust. Strategic thinkers trust their ability to adapt even if plans fail. This flexibility removes paralysis and encourages calculated risk. Relationships change as well. Strategic thinkers communicate clearly, set boundaries calmly, and avoid manipulation. They seek mutual benefit rather than domination. This attracts high-quality connections and reduces unnecessary conflict. Leadership emerges naturally. People follow those who are composed, consistent, and fair. Strategic thinkers influence without force because their presence signals stability. Purpose becomes clearer. Rather than chasing endless goals, strategic thinkers align action with meaning. They understand that success without purpose feels hollow, and purpose without strategy feels frustrating. Strategic thinking also creates forgiveness. Not naive forgiveness, but understanding. When you see how people act from fear, incentive, or conditioning, resentment fades. This emotional release frees energy for growth. Adaptation never ends. The world changes. Strategy evolves. Strategic thinkers remain students of life. Curiosity keeps them sharp. Humility keeps them learning. Ultimately, winning big in life does not mean dominating others. It means mastering yourself, navigating complexity with grace, and building a life that reflects intention rather than reaction. The art of strategic thinking is quiet. It does not announce itself. It reveals itself over time through consistency, clarity, and calm success. When others panic, you pause. When others rush, you observe. When others quit, you adjust. This is the advantage. This is the art. This is the way to outsmart challenges and win, not just once, but for life.